Jordan 14 in many ways was the end of an era. It's the last shoe Michael Jordan wore as a member of the Chicago Bulls on the court. He wasn't supposed to. He was supposed to wear the Jordan 13s in Game 6 of the NBA Finals in 1998, but he switched to the Jordan 14s, hit that famous game-winning shot. The rest is history. Now, by the time the Jordan 14 was officially available to the general public, Michael Jordan had retired for the second time. We're about to enter in a new millennium, and 8 colorways of the shoe was released, 5 of them being the mid-cut, and then 3 of them being the low-cut. Out of those 3, there was one colorway, the Laney colorway, that was based on Michael Jordan's high school. So if you didn't know, Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team, Laney High School. The next year he came back, and we know what happened after that. Now we've seen Jordan Brand use the Laney colorway for a ton of other shoes, the Jordan 5 Laneys, the Air Jordan 1 women's exclusive, Reverse Laney. I believe that was the most recent Laney inspired shoe. I think it was. Pretty sure it was. I can't remember if it was earlier this year or late last year. And on May 27th for $210, they're bringing back the Laney colorway on the Jordan 14, but this time they're bringing it back to the mid-cut instead of the low-cut. Air Jordan 14 Laney. Jordan 14 silhouette I don't love, but it does have a special place in my heart. It was the first Jordan Brand shoe that I was able to save up money and actually buy. It wasn't one of those OG colorways from 1999. I was way too young to be able to save up any money back then, but in the early 2000s I was able to get some money doing chores around the house, saved up for a while, and bought the black pair. The black nubuck pair. Was it nubuck or suede? I still have it back home. Next time I go back home, I want to try and bring that shoe, but I believe it was nubuck with hints of UNC blue. I actually played a lot of high school basketball in those shoes. I love that shoe, so anytime a Jordan 14 is retroed, it always brings me back down memory lane. And generally, I do like the Laney colorway. I will say, for whatever reason, I prefer the reverse Laney colorway, like you see on the Air Jordan 1 reverse Laney, but I generally just like the yellow over the blue, especially when featured heavily. So the upper sole of the shoe comes in nubuck. Very nice nubuck. Love how it feels. Very smooth, genuine nubuck. Love it. The black part on the toe box, however, according to Nike's press release, is suede. It's not the best suede, it's kind of rough, but I guess it's not the majority of the upper sole, it's just the toe box area. Not a huge deal breaker for me, but wish it would have came in premium nubuck all the way through. Now some Jordan 14s, I think most of them actually have that ribbed texture that you see on the upper sole. Now my one, the first Jordan 14 I ever had, did have that texture as well. However, on this shoe it is entirely smooth. You don't see that ribbing. I don't know which one I prefer more. I think this looks very, very sleek, but if I had to choose, I would choose the rib texture over the smooth texture. And the design of the Jordan 14 was inspired by Michael Jordan's favorite sports car company, Ferrari. He also owned a Ferrari, and you'll see a lot of references to Ferrari and the sports car in general on this shoe. So one example is that Jordan logo on the side, comes in that shield shape. That is also the shape of the Ferrari logo. And on the booty of the shoe, you see this pattern. It's supposed to resemble a car's tire tread. Really like that, like how unique and special and thoughtful it is. Honestly, it's just so creative. And you also see the Jumpman logo as well as 23, obviously MJ's number, on the booty of the shoe. And speaking of Jumpman logos, one cool thing about the Jordan 14 is that on each shoe, there's 7 Jumpman logos. So 2 shoes, you add it up, it's 14 Jumpman logos, obviously representing Jordan 14. And here's all 7 of them on one shoe. Love it. Love all these cool little details on sneakers. And the Jordan 14 comes with a Phylon midsole, which is essentially Jordan Brand's version of EVA foam. So it's more lightweight, provides more cushioning, it's more responsive. And I gotta say, when you look at the Jordan 14 itself, you might think it's kind of like a mid-weight to maybe even heavy shoe. But because of these weight-saving measures, like the Phylon midsole, it's a very light shoe. I did play in a Jordan 14 for a while when I was in high school, and it was just one of the best performing shoes that I owned at the time. And the 14 also comes with 2 Zoom Air units, one on the heel and one on the forefoot. This shoe doesn't come with a carbon fiber shank plate in the midfoot, it comes in this TPU material. Still very solid. However, the white and red OG colorway, that was the only OG colorway of the Jordan 14 that came with a carbon fiber shank plate. I do wish they would have used that generally for all Jordan 14s. Really love carbon fiber, it's so light, but it's so durable. And since we're on the outsole, you'll see a predominantly herringbone traction. And as someone that loves herringbone, I think it's the best traction. I think the Jordan 14 still holds up, at least traction wise. and you also see 14 in Roman numerals, and that's also seen on the tongue. So this very uniquely shaped tongue on the Jordan 14 is almost like a rectangle extended all the way up, capped off with like this yellow hard rubber material, and on the outside it says Jordan, on the inside it has the same Roman numerals 14 like you see on the outsole. Now maybe the most distinct but the most subtle feature of the Jordan 14 is this little hole in the midfoot. Now that's supposed to provide more ventilation so air can pass through that little hole. However, as someone that has played extensively in the shoe, I don't really feel the difference. It's more just like a cool feature to have rather than any functional or practical use. Now moving on to the inside of the shoe, the padding on the ankle collar is super nice. It's thick, it's soft, and it just provides a lot of support around the ankles. And one thing you might not see from images alone is that the ankle is mismatched on each shoe. So you see on the outside, it's a slightly higher cut than on the inside. MJ always preferred a shoe that like gave him a lower profile so you can like feel the ground as much as possible while also wanting to provide ankle support. So maybe, I don't know, this might add to that feel. Now I don't really feel it when I wear the shoe. I don't really feel much of a difference with those mismatched ankles. However, it's there. Now this shoe doesn't come with any extra laces because why would they? We only paid $210 for it. But if I would have to choose another color, maybe white. Maybe white. Definitely not the blue. I think that would just be too much. Yellow, I think, would be too loud as well. Honestly, I would just keep it the default black. I think it looks pretty good the way it is. One thing I do have to point out when it comes to the laces, you see these middle tips on the laces with the Jumpman logo as well. Love that. Really like when they add something special, add something little, but still impactful to a shoe. And I think these middle tip laces, they look really nice. And the box of the shoe, a very standard Jordan Brand box with a red Jumpman in the middle. I do think Jordan Brand missed an opportunity with the box, and I'll have more to say on that later. But outside, inside, really nothing special to the box. Now moving on to size and comfort, I'm a size 9.5 true to size. I do have wide feet. With this shoe, however, I still went with a 9.5, and it fits well. It is comfortable, it is snug. However, there's no part of the shoe where it feels too snug and uncomfortable. So in the toe box area, as well as the midfoot, where I usually have problems as a wide footer, feels great. I don't have those problems. It's not stiff out of the box. And honestly, I was kind of surprised because you see on the midfoot area, this TPU material kind of goes all the way up to where the arch begins. So if you have flat, wider feet, you might not love that. But personally, I did not find that to be uncomfortable at all. If I went up half a size, I feel like the shoe would be slightly too roomy, too long for me. So as a wide footer, I do recommend, if you have wide feet like mine, just stay true to size and break it in or wear thinner socks if you must. Now cushioning wise, it is pretty decent. 2 Zoom Air units like I mentioned before. It is not the most like soft feeling shoe, however. Remember, MJ preferred to have shoes that were closer to the ground. So if you're looking for that squishy, soft, foamy feeling you find on a lot of modern day shoes, you're not going to get that on the Jordan 14. That brings the total sole score to 16 out of 25. Right around average of all the shoes that I've reviewed. Colorway wise, I like the Laney colorway, but I don't love it. I think the blue in this large amount, it might be a bit too much. It might be a bit off-putting. I kind of wish they made the shoe like more black predominantly, and then hints of blue and yellow. However, it's obviously going for that OG colorway and the low cut Laney from 1999, so I get what they're doing, but I don't love this colorway. In terms of materials, like I said before, the blue nubuck, really nice. Black suede, it's decent, but I don't think it's the best. It feels a little bit synthetic, definitely better suede I felt on other shoes. However, in terms of the Phylon midsole, the 2 Zoom Air units, as well as the padding on the ankle collar, really premium. Comfort wise, the Jordan 14 has always been regarded as one of the more comfortable Jordan shoes, at least from Jordan 1 to 14. Don't know if I'd put it over the Jordan 13. I think those are just, they're like wearing gloves on your feet. I love it. Now versatility wise, this is where it might be a bit controversial. I can see this very sleek, race car inspired silhouette might not be for everybody, especially when you're wearing it casually. On the court, no problem. Very nice looking shoe. But casually with a lot of outfits, I just don't know if it fits that well. In terms of colorway, I think the blue is a little too loud, which is funny because I prefer the reverse Laney where it's predominantly yellow, but I don't know, there's something about this blue, I feel like it's a bit too bright. The UNC blue is my favorite color on sneakers, but when it's like this darker electric blue shade, I just feel like it's a bit too much. Storytelling wise, like I alluded to earlier, I think this is where they missed the mark. I've been saying for the longest time, for all Laney colorways, I wish they would do something special, like on the box or like inside the box, maybe provide like a card or some type of memorabilia, because there is a really cool story behind Laney High School. It's not just the high school that MJ went to, it's the high school where he was cut, where the greatest player of all time was cut and then made the team the next year, and the rest is history. There's such a cool thing they could have done, they could have really played into it, but instead, we just get the colorway on the shoe, and that's it. Really think they missed an opportunity there. The Jordan 14 in a vacuum, I like, but don't love it, being that it was the first Jordan shoe I was able to afford by myself. Even though it wasn't one of the OGs, it still has a special place in my heart. So every time they bring back this shoe, I'm always going to have a certain sense of appreciation. So that's it. Thanks for watching Sole Inclined. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 14, Laney, and remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.